few grocery items. Yeah. So, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, as I said, we'll be passing on the treasurer's report. We'll move on to our EMA coordinator, Mike Beckman.
Thank you, Linda. Linda covered Hainesville's news very well as far as the storm is concerned. I'd just like to add that this afternoon, on a bigger scale for everybody, maybe it's not news to you, ComEd has identified that Monday's storm now ranks as one of the two most serious in their records in terms of the numbers of customers impacted, with more than 850,000 customers at the peak of the outage. In the northern region of the ComEd service area, that was the most significantly impacted, and this region includes all of Lake County. ComEd reports that they expect to have 90% of the outages in the northern region restored by noon this Friday, and 99% of all the northern region's outages restored by 5 p.m. on Sunday, July 17th. Commonwealth Edison also said that more than 400 of their own crews are working on restoration and expect to have an additional 300 contract crews from as far away as Texas, Alabama, and Florida working on service restoration in our area by Thursday. And also, July is Pet and Livestock Preparedness Month. So, although more than half of us probably have pets, and maybe only one of us has livestock in the chambers tonight. How do I sit corrected?
We have a swimming pool that's getting pretty empty.
The same thing goes. 3-day supply of water, etc. Supplies of medicines and comfort foods, is treats and leashes and little kennels and cages. These are things that we don't think about if something happens and you have to take your pet somewhere. And just good to keep on the radar. So that's July's news. That's all I have to report.
That's a good reminder, though. Do you need us to send water down for the livestock here?
We just need a little rain.
Okay.
Got a little hole that they kind of like to go kind of dry.
I just have a question. When Mundaline has a parade, for several days ahead, they have signs out saying that the road is going to be closed. I didn't see anything that said that Hainesville Road was going to be closed for that parade, and sort of got caught in the middle of it and had to make some adjustments. So I just wondered if that's something that might be useful in the future.
It's a good point, although the traffic control is not the responsibility of emergency management in Hainesville. That was left up to the police department. They had that up. We had the EOC open to assist our guests as they came in to our village for the day, but traffic control and the preparation for that itself was left up to the PD.
Can you?
But I can certainly bring it up. Oh, yes,
yeah, I think we can relay that not only to Round Lake Beach was the lead agency. All the agencies involved were cooperating together. So I think we can pass that on to Deputy Chief Chirillo, and then I'll mention it to Matt McCutcheon too.
Small signs, I don't know what they.
I mean, it's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be easy enough to do. Yeah, good point.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our building official, Russ, who's had an exciting couple of days.
Yes, they can have been a lot easier than they've been. Yes, we've been very lucky in the village here, very little damage. I think there's about 6 houses that we've seen, roofing, siding, but at least no big trees crashed through anybody's house. So nobody had to be evacuated or anything like that, so we've been very lucky. With the report this month, I also attached a second sheet, just a monthly report for what we do for inspections and permits, and also from now on I'm going to redo a sheet with the violations, because I said we're becoming more and more involved in that, so keep everybody informed, because I'm sure people will be asking questions. That way they'll be up to date what's happening. And last but not least, you should have all gotten a packet for the water features ordinance, put that together, so ladies have that to pass out now, so questions, it seems. People putting up pools, we found 2 more last week, 1 more this week. It's just, this must be the year. So, we're having fun.
We're suspicious that there's quite a pool sale going
Yeah, someone's pushing them somewhere. So that's it for now.
All right, thank you, Russ.
Sure.
Okay, Public Works Superintendent, we know darn well what he's up to. We'll move on to our attorney, Jim Robb.
We've been working to obtain both temporary and permanent easements for the properties that will be affected by the Route 120 water main extension project, and also having some communications with CENTCOM regarding call routing that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the meeting.
Thank you.
There's another 120 water thing that we're gonna do.
It's the same one. It's just we're waiting for the easements from the property owners.
Because I thought we already did we do a project along 120?
That was a storm sewer project. That was a storm sewer project. That was a drain.
This is water looping, to bring water to buildings, to bring
sorry.
water service.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. All right, village engineer, Greg Ruin.
Thank you, Mayor. As far as the motor fuel tax is concerned, in the next 30 days, we're going to be developing a bid package for complete the crack filling project for Deer Point subdivision, as well as the Pineview, Fairlawn, and Forest Glen Drive area. We expect to have bids due in September and complete that work in September. As far as the Pineview apartment water main extension, the water main is in, passed the pressure test and chlorinated, and we submitted for an operating permit on that particular water main. So the next item is for Mr. De La Georges to connect to it and hook up his Pineview residents to the village water system. Again, as Village Attorney mentioned, the IDA loan program, we're looking at obtaining easements for this that are necessary to complete the work, and we cannot finalize our application until we actually obtain those easements. And then Terry had wanted me to mention a couple of things about the water system. With the power outage, both well 1, well 3, and the Cranberry Lake lift stations all switched over to the backup generator seamlessly. Once a year, Terry has his guys go out there and service the actual units. So periodically, once a year, we get the power generation company, Pat Power, to go out there and service these things so that we're prepared in a situation that we just had on Monday. That's it.
Question for you, Greg. Maybe for the mayor. Any update on the light path in Lake County?
Yes. My last conversation with Paula Trigg from Lake County DOT Engineering is that given what was going on in the state with funding, funds were delayed. However, the project is moving forward and it will start in July. I asked her for a specific date, or could she at least tell me early July, mid-July, end of July?
July 2012?
The reply was, it will start in July. This year, but in July. That was the best answer she could give me at that time. Now, I do know they are moving forward because I have had, ComEd permits and different things come through for my signature. So everything's in place. It was really the funding element, as I understand it.
Okay, thank you.
And they already cut the grass, so they got it.
Yeah, they've been cutting, interestingly enough, it's a good point, because the county's been cutting the grass like crazy around. Yeah, yeah.
So beware.
Yeah.
Good things are.
Okay. We'll move on to standing committees, finance, trustee Daly.
Just a couple things. Kelly is ahead of the game on the audit this year. She's been gathering information for weeks now. And our audit is scheduled for the first week in August. One thing that we want to do, we discussed this in Finance Committee tonight. This is the third year of a 3-year contract with this company. They have more, cut to the short. We're hoping to negotiate a continued contract with them at a lower cost since they've been through us. It would be 3 years now, and have the basic material. Or we're going to look at, do they need to go, legally need to go into the same depth that they have been looking into. And if we can negotiate something with them, fine. If not, we might consider looking around again. Although this company was the lowest of 3 RFPs when we went through it 3 years ago. The second thing is the committee is making a recommendation to the board that we give no pay increases to the staff this year. And that's my report.
I don't think that comes as a tremendous surprise to anyone, given the climate of the economy, so I think enough said on that. We'll move on to Public Works, Trustee Walkington.
Really don't have anything. I talked to Jeff for about 2 seconds yesterday when he was heading out the door. You know, he kind of apprised me of what had happened at Forest Glen on that side of the village. So he's been very busy. We do have a meeting tomorrow night, so I'll have more of an understanding of how they're gaining on.
We've still got trees hanging across power lines and wires, which is
I'm sure they're going to need some help.
In our village limits?
right. You go past Pineview, you turn left, you go south on Forest Glen, and there's still big trees laying across power lines, and that's why Comcast is still down. I have no phone, no internet service.
Well, now,
Comcast came back.
Comcast just came back this evening.
Okay, well, that.
Yeah.
Not all.
Okay,
Not all, okay. Are you still
I
on?
have
Okay.
no phones, no internet, so.
Okay, okay.
But there's certain trees that just aren't.
No, just not be able to touch them.
Yeah.
Because there's a big tree on 122 that's
Right.
lost.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
keep going there, you've got.
Yeah, well, there's a couple poles on Allegheny too.
Yeah.
One, I said they better get down because it's gonna fall down on somebody's
You
head.
got one here, I'm told you, there's 2 big ones sitting out on the other side past the railroad tracks. That's.
Well, I'm gonna follow up with Diane tonight then, what the status is, because it's still laying on the power lines.
It looked like power lines. I drove down Fairlawn a couple hours ago. I was out sharing a couple of my generators with some friends of mine, one of them's diabetic, and they have to keep their insulin cold. So they keep your refrigerators charged up till they got power. And I went down Forest Glen, and that was just a huge treatment. That had to be 30, 40 feet.
Yeah, well, I know there's some big ones, but I didn't realize it was still, I thought they had taken care of what was on the power
Round
lines.
Lake Park was out when I was out assessing damage on Monday. Round Lake Park's Public Works was out, working back behind in the soccer field. I talked to them when I ran into Commander Cutchin, and he and I talked about trees and what they're doing. So that's all part of my report.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Well, and then we'll move on to public safety.
Okay.
Trustee Bear.
Well, you got a kind of a portion of it. I know Russ touched base on, we didn't have a lot of tree damage here. We did suffer a lot of, blown fences and siding torn up, which is minor compared to the fact that at the Waukegan Airport, at the regional airport, they did clock winds in excess of 100 miles an hour. So the storm hit us, and then it picked up steam as it went east towards the lake, which is kind of a rare phenomenon for it to do that, and then to continue across the lake over to Michigan. At the height of the storm, after the storm, the first 2 hours after the storm, the Grays Lake Police Departments and CENTCOM and Glenview, they had in process at one given time over 65 calls for service. So if there was a little bit of a delay while you were hearing about it, it was basically chasing alarms and fire departments with lines down, energized wires, lighting trees and transformers on fire, so that kind of things happen. But the biggest point that I want to drive home is everybody here, or to the whole entire community, is personal preparedness. Once again, we've been out there's pockets of areas in Grays Lake that still doesn't have power. They have Grays Lake was also having a water emergency because they didn't have power to run their pumps for their water system. So once again, it's personal preparedness. Make sure that you have food, clothing, necessary medicines. I can't tell you how many people were lined up to buy generators after this thing happened. And at one time, Home Depot had over 295 people on a waiting list for generators. And it's like, take the steps to take care of your own family, prepare yourself with these things to have that, because it's going to be 3-4 days before people get power back over here in some parts of our community.
I believe Russo sold out on generators.
Yeah, Russo sold out. I mean, everybody is. Yeah, and they're getting them in now, but I guarantee there's a little bit more of a margin on them than there was a week ago. But